stories and breaking news first. This is KC24 News at Noon, Central Valley's news station.
6 years after a double homicide, charges are dismissed against the previously convicted killer. 23-year-old Armando Ortiz appeared in the Fresno County Courthouse today for that news. Plenty of tears of joy just outside the courtroom as the prosecutor advised the judge the charges are dismissed without prejudice. Ortiz was serving 2 life sentences for the killing of a 19-year-old Reedley store clerk who was pregnant at the time. The Innocence Project and defense attorney Mark Broughton learned some witnesses who could provide an alibi for Ortiz were never interviewed. Ortiz's family is looking forward to his release.
I don't know if I could tell him how many thank yous and I love yous I could tell him. Very, very appreciative. Innocent Project, to his now attorney Mark, very, very happy.
Ortiz will have to complete a 22-year sentence on an unrelated carjacking case before he can be a free man.
Case dismissed. A man convicted in a double homicide was glad to be in court today because his conviction was overturned and murder charges thrown out. Armando Ortiz's family is elated with the work done by countless individuals working to prove him innocent.
Coming home.
The hallway outside of Department 2 at the Fresno County Courthouse was packed with emotional family and friends of 23-year-old Armando Ortiz. It's the day they've been waiting for, the day murder charges against their loved one are dismissed.
I mean, we're just very, very happy right now. I know we're crying, but it's very happy tears.
Ortiz has been sitting in prison for nearly 5 years for the murders of 19-year-old Abdel Jabbar and her unborn child. A Northern California group called the Innocence Project started looking into the case when Ortiz's appellate attorney realized the defense failed to interview several witnesses who could provide an alibi for Ortiz the night Jabbar was shot to death at the store where she was working.
Once we interviewed the witnesses, it was clear to us they had the wrong person. It had nothing to do with this offense.
A Fresno County judge overturned the verdict when he determined Ortiz had ineffective counsel. From there, the district attorney's office had to decide if they had the right man behind bars. Today, the prosecution dismissed the charges.
For the past several months, we've been looking into those issues. At this point, we don't feel there's enough evidence to proceed.
I feel about as good as I have in 30 years of practicing law. This is just a wonderful day, not only for Armando, but for his family, and really the justice system. So I'm very, very, very happy today.
And coming up tonight at 5 and 6, hear from one of the witnesses who came forward to provide the alibi for Ortiz. Charges have been dismissed against a Fresno County man convicted of killing a pregnant woman. After years of trying to prove Armando Ortiz did not shoot to death a 19-year-old Reedley clerk, family and friends of Ortiz received the good news.
And unfortunately, we lost time, but we're getting it back. He's coming home.
For the last 5 years, 23-year-old Armando Ortiz has been sitting in prison for a crime he apparently did not commit. Today, the murder charges were dismissed. The overturned conviction is thanks in part to Jamie Luna. She says she's known all along that Ortiz could not have killed Abdel Jabbar at this Reedley store on the night of January 21st, 2002. He was somewhere else. She says Ortiz was at her father's birthday party and several other people could place him there as well. But Ortiz's attorney never interviewed Luna and the others.
It's just a lot of guilt, because they didn't believe us and what were we going to do?
Those who believed Ortiz was innocent did not give up. His appellate attorney notified a Northern California organization, the Innocence Project.
Once we interviewed the witnesses, it was clear to us they had the wrong person. It had nothing to do with this offense.
Then defense attorney Mark Broughton made sure the court knew the wrong man was behind bars.
People are wrongfully convicted in this country, and there are a number of reasons why that occurs. It does happen, but I'm very happy that in this case we were able to finally show the prosecution that Armando was completely innocent.
It was dismissed without prejudice, which means it'll be an open file, so if new evidence does come forward, we'll pursue it as the facts warrant.
Ortiz will remain in custody on an unrelated carjacking case, but for now, he's breathing a sigh of relief.
We were so excited that they finally believed us and finally came out, and we're so excited.
Murder charges are dropped against the man accused of killing a 19-year-old woman and her unborn child. A pregnant Abdel Jaber was killed at her father's Reedley convenience store. This was back in 2002. Armando Ortiz faced a retrial for the killings, but today the Fresno County District Attorney dismisses the charges based on new information. It's unknown what that new information is. Ortiz will remain in state prison based on prior convictions.
In the midst of serving 2 life prison terms, 23-year-old Armando Ortiz learns he'll one day be a free man. Good evening, I'm Teresa Freed. Rich and Steph had the night off. Thanks for being with us. A double homicide case is once again considered unsolved as prosecutors dismiss murder charges against a convicted man. 19-year-old Abdel Jaber was working at a Reedley store when she was shot to death in 2002. 16-year-old Armando Ortiz was arrested, tried, and convicted of double homicide because the victim was pregnant. Now the state admits they had the wrong man. A rare legal reversal, our top story at 6.
Coming home.
Family and friends of 23-year-old Armando Ortiz tried to contain their emotions in a Fresno County courtroom. As Deputy District Attorney John Skiles made it official, charges are dismissed.
I mean, we're just very, very happy right now. I know we're crying, but it's very happy tears.
In January 2002, 19-year-old Abdel Jaber was shot to death at this Reedley store. Although there were no eyewitnesses nor any physical evidence tying Ortiz to the murder of the pregnant woman, he was convicted and sentenced to 2 life terms. His appellate attorney got to work right away and noticed a problem in the case. Witnesses who could provide Ortiz an alibi were never interviewed. The new information was handed over to the Innocence Project.
This is what we live for. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is the justice system made a terrible mistake. It would have been tragic. There was no way to get the attention of the court without us coming in and advocating this case.
I feel about as good as I have in 30 years of practicing law. This is just a wonderful day, not only for Armando, but for his family and really the justice system. So I'm very, very, very happy today.
I don't know if I could tell them how many thank yous and I love yous I could tell them. Very, very appreciative. Innocent Project, to his now attorney Mark, very, very happy.
Although charges were dismissed in this case, Ortiz will remain behind bars to serve a 22-year sentence in an unrelated carjacking case, and authorities will have to resume their search for the killer of Abdel Jaber.
At this point, the murder case is still an open file.
And no other suspects have been named in the double homicide case.
A Valley family is rejoicing tonight. Their son will no longer spend the rest of his life in prison, but it could reopen a 6-year-old Fresno County murder case. Action News court reporter Andres Araiza is live with why the DA dropped the murder charges, the murder case against Armando Ortiz. Andres.
Graciela, Armando Ortiz is still in jail tonight and won't be leaving for several months. A jury convicted him of killing a woman and her unborn child, but a judge intervened when new evidence surfaced. Armando Ortiz grinned when the DA dropped the case. His family cried and hugged outside the courtroom. They waited 6 years for this moment.
I mean, you just believe. You believe in your family and you ask them and you gather your facts and you gather everything, and that's basically what we had to do over the past 6 years. And I mean, we're just very, very happy right now.
19-year-old Manar Jaber was pregnant when she died in 2002. The murder happened at her family store in Reedley. Ortiz was convicted for the crime and sentenced to life in prison. But late last year, a judge threw out the verdict, calling the late Ernest Kenny an ineffective defense attorney. Ortiz's new defense team provided evidence showing the defendant was in Fresno during the murders.
Unfortunately, their story didn't get heard. It didn't get told back when this case originated and back when it went to trial.
The victim's family still owns the store in Reedley. I spoke with her father. He didn't want to go on camera, but he seemed very upset that his daughter's murder remains unsolved. The prosecutor said they're still investigating, and Ortiz could once again face murder charges.
Based on the alibi witnesses that we spoke to, I don't believe there's enough to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed this crime. That could change in the future, and if it does, we'll pursue it.
But Ortiz's family believe those charges will never come, and he will go home soon.
First thing we're going to do is hopefully we'll be able to reunite him with his son. That's my brother's biggest want right now is he wants to be reunited with his son.
Ortiz remains in custody tonight because he was also convicted of an assault charge, but his attorneys say they plan to ask a judge to overturn that verdict as well. Reporting live in the newsroom, Andres Araiza, ABC 30, Action News.
The Fresno County DA's office says it's dropped the murder charges against a man who was convicted and sentenced for a double murder. In 2002, a jury found 23-year-old Armando Ortiz guilty of murdering 19-year-old Abdel Jabbar and her unborn child. The new evidence in the case has prompted the prosecution to dismiss those murder charges for now. Appeals lawyers from the Northern California Innocence Project say Ortiz's attorney back then, the late Ernest Kinney, failed to provide an alibi for his client. Ortiz is still serving over 22 years in prison for carjacking, assault, and gang enhancements.